Oh, we're all good. I got my lecoq today.
I've never heard anyone call it that.
That's the first time?
Yes,
Oh
because
shit.
the other pronunciation I know is "la croix," and I'm like, "Gross." I say gross, but I also say that when I'm being pretentious or wanna be fancy.
Wow.
"La croix."
Lecoq. Yeah, I don't know. I should try that next time. If I see they supply them like at a restaurant or something. Yeah, can I get a lecoq, please? And then they
Just
just like
totally stone-faced.
just look at me awkwardly. A what? Lecoq.
Get escorted out for sexual harassment.
Yeah, man. Literally 0 calorie, zero sweetener, zero sodium equals innocent. Lecoq.
Some say 0 flavor. No more free promo, though.
Yeah. What do we got today? What's our assignment?
Episode zwei?
Is that really
I think so.
Zwei? Oh wow.
Zwei.
Zwei?
Zwei.
Damn.
Zwei. I'm also a terrible speller, which makes German especially difficult because there are so many I's and E's, and the
Uh,
way you flip them drastically messes with the pronunciation. So
mm.
German is difficult for ich.
Fry.
Fry.
Fry. Right on. Well, Frank, what's the show called today?
Today, it is still and forevermore. I know what you watched last summer, and I'm Frankie Stein, and you
Uh,
are.
Ozzy Prescott.
And it's episode zwei of Dark. I should learn how to say dark in German. So that way I can ask Germans if they like dark when I'm over there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he could just talk to him in English. It sounds like I met, yeah, I think like two German people, older German people, mind you, but yeah, they just described to me how like Germany's become very Americanized. Like, yeah, it's like it's not even Germany anymore.
Boo.
Yeah, so like, yeah, everybody speaks English, and I feel like I hardly hear German anymore when I'm there. So I'm like, all right, well, it means I could survive in Europe.
It means they're gonna hear my terrible accent and be like, "Spit it out." I
What are you
don't
saying?
I don't have time for this. But anyhoodle. Episode zwei. Do. Uh Dose, if you will. And this one, I'm really excited because we actually get the time travel element in it. And I remember when I first saw this, I gasped. I sucked all the air out of the room when we see the time travel in action. And I was like, dude, it's real.
Finally. Yeah, it's pretty whack. It's kind of hinted through a little bit more here, and then we kind of finally see it towards the end. Wow, let's see, what's that character's name? Is the older scientist man with the crazy hair, curly hair, big glasses. But there's a segment in the this episode where he's talking about black holes and whether people what lengths are they willing to go to kind of figure out the answers to all these things that we don't know and the mystery behind them. And then like with that scene going on, like we see a certain person getting zapped basically, as far as we know, and it's just explaining that people are willing to go very very far to figure out the answers to life's ridiculous dumb questions.
So correct me if I'm using this phrase wrong. It's a red herring. Am I using that right? Is like the false lead.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know, I'm assuming this was intentional, but, like, the red herring of this episode in particular was furthered, like, drilled into because the first episode, we kinda got a hint of it
Mhm.
where Charlotte's husband,
Yes, the therapist.
yeah, he's hiding, he has a secret, and in my mind, like, my gut feeling is, like, it's always either the police or someone close to law enforcement or someone that inserts themselves close to law enforcement that are, harming people specifically, like, in this case, it's the children. He's like, "Charlotte, I have a secret I gotta tell you." And I'm like, "Oh, it's you. You kidnapped Eric." And then, we see that hooded figure and you're like, "Okay, you're in cahoots." We see him in the car crying, like, hearing, the radio talking about Mikkel. Then Bartosz's dad, Alexander, at the plant talking to Eric's dad, being like, "We have to get rid of them. Like, get them out of here, blah, blah, blah." And so I'm like, "Oh my god, it's a whole cabal. It's a
Yeah.
whole ring of child murderers. For me, like, the big buildup of the episode was when Ulrich was in Eric's dad's place. Also,
Mhm.
what was that? Because it looked like so he has a trailer, and then it looked like a bunch of different greenhouses.
Yeah.
Is that what that looked like to you, or am I crazy?
No, I feel that too. It seemed like he was in some type of like agricultural thing, maybe producing. Oh, obviously, because maybe that's where maybe they farm some of the marijuana that Eric would sell. That's what I thought. Yeah, it's just a bunch of red herrings, and I feel like that kind of goes. It prolongs throughout the show. What is everybody's like role in the whole story mean? Like, is people's secrets tied into the disappearances and other huge events, or is it just something minor and they're just holding back for other normal reasons, right?
Mhm.
It's really good at the storytelling about having in that way it kind of keeps the viewer wanting to come back and watch and go all the way to the end to really finish it. It's also suspenseful, but then it's also relieving too, the way throughout the show they reveal things. It's like, "Oh, what the fuck?" It's, leaves you in suspense and surprised and I guess kinda being rewarded in a way, but, like, it feels I feel most reveals don't ever feel, sour, you know? I don't feel, everything kinda makes sense
Mhm.
when they unravel all the truths and stuff. So I do really like how they do this in the storytelling in the show. Oryx, he's kind of in deep shit now. He feels in the same place as Eric's dad because now his son's missing, and he's a cop one, so an authority figure has I wouldn't say a lot more power, but some power to kind of like get better information or has ability to go look a little bit deeper than other people could, right?
Right, he has more resources at his disposal for sure.
In a not so good way, it's kind of like pulling him towards the deep end where he's just going crazy, doing things he probably shouldn't, as going to Eric's dad's home or farming facility, whatever it is.
Breaking in, I will point out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
without a warrant.
Breaking the law that he's supposed to uphold. Yet again, that's 2 strikes against the law enforcement. But it's like, that's always so hard for me in shows like this where you are emotionally invested in the outcome of which they're committing illegal acts for. Do you know what I mean? It's like they're breaking the law and them as the law enforcement. I struggle with that because I'm looking at it like because I hate cops. And so I'm like, you just broke the law, but it's like, "Yeah, I want you to find your son." And it's the same thing where he, contaminated that crime scene. I'm just like, "I get it. I know you wanna find your son." Am I any better? No, but I'm also not a cop, so we're not held to the same standard.
Standard, right?
But, yeah, he's like when he breaks in there, I was like, "Strike 2, Ulrich." Strike 2.
Motherfucker. It's hard. I guess that's where despite wherever we are in life, we're always at the end of the day human, right? And we're gonna revert to some certain things
Mhm.
pretty primal, right? Yeah, I don't know, because I thought I had the same thoughts, but maybe that goes in with the character too, because he's having an affair with his wife. He's willing to go a little extra in certain areas to he probably shouldn't be, but is doing, you know?
Yeah, that definitely speaks to him, like, as a person. But, oh my god, that scene where he finds
Oh God.
those mattresses, those were incriminating, and I was like, "That's fucked up." And so he moves them, he finds that grate, and as he's pulling that chain up, what was your thought that was gonna be at the end of that? 'Cause it was like this bulbous thing, and I was like, "Oh my god, is that a severed head?" And I think that's
Yeah.
what Ulrich thought it was too.
That's the obvious one, and then Eric's dad's telling him not to open it. He just got the gun raised to him because he wakes up, but or can't help himself. He needs to know whether or not if it's his son or maybe even Eric. Pulls it open, just finds just drugs, fentanyl, marijuana, I think, stuff like
And
that.
Home Slice just admits to it because Ulrich is like, Is this yours?" And he's like, "Yeah, actually, me and my son, sold these drugs."
At the school.
Deny, deny, deny.
Mhm.
He came in
I
there without a warrant. That will never hold up. Well, okay, I'm speaking from America. I don't know.
maybe that's why maybe I don't know, he was a quicker thinker, but maybe like, all right, well, yeah, he doesn't have a warrant. He's on my property. They're both in the same spot. They both lost their sons. The crime is smaller than that, right?
Oh,
We need
yeah.
to we need to find our sons. He asks him, "Where's my son?" And then he's just so emotional, or he's just saying, "I don't know," just kind of goes off in his own way. Like the drugs were the least of his worries, you know.
And you see that too, like, throughout that whole family, because 'cause they're all being affected as a member of them is gone, and so they're all kind of shutting people out, like,
Hmm.
Marta is, like, ignoring Bartosz's calls, and then Ulrich is ignoring Hannah, and, oh my god, I don't know what on earth would compel somebody to think, "You know what they need right now?
Knows that.
A makeup sesh. Like, we need to get hot and heavy because the way Hannah just, like, shows up to the station, I understand she was there initially trying to comfort him, and then she's trying to make out with him, and it's like, "Can you just, like, chill
Not, yeah,
for a
no,
second?"
fucking Hannah is insane though.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely insane. I don't know what type of maybe disorder it would be, or I don't know if you can say disorder, but like her ego is really high. Like she's very selfish. And in part, like, yeah, she says she loves him, but like it's just a thing that makes her feel a certain way, right? Being around him.
I think it's definitely, like, a self-esteem issue being why I think she just places a lot of merit on what he thinks specifically and what his thoughts are towards her, because she puts a lot of validation in him, and, like, when she gets the validation from him, like, through physically being with like, being together, I'm just like, "Get a grip, Hannah."
Right? I don't know. I feel remorse for her, but also like I just say to my head, like she's very unstable and she needs help, some form of help.
Also, so, like, that scene where Hannah and Jonas are in the kitchen together surrounded by candles, I was like, "Holy shit, is their power still off?"
Yeah.
They're sitting there talking about them as a family. Then Jonas is like, "Do you miss dad?" And she's like, "I miss him as a concept." I was like,
Yeah. Very weird.
"That is odd to say about somebody you loved, but okay."
Like it just didn't affect her at all because she's already found maybe someone, right, to fill in that void if there was a void. And yeah, it's just like so unattached, and Jonas is kind of dealing with the loss of his dad on his own, and it just really can't find anybody to really help him get through it, especially like with this the therapist too in the first episode, just kind of like making it something smaller, or not smaller, but just really not putting the effort to kind of help him really get through it, maybe in the best way.
Yeah, or
And
know him as a person.
Jonas, like in this episode, goes into his work area and seeing like what his dad was painting, and just that whole room is just completely dark, and probably gives the idea like his dad was mentally not in the right spot, going through stuff and just getting lost in that room. Also, like just like notice some of the paintings, kind of like they all look like black holes and stuff.
Mhm. As we find out, the theme being time travel. So it's like, does he know? We'll see.
Can I ask your thoughts? Because we see in the last episode and this episode, Jonas wakes up, right? And he sees his dad covered in black.
Mhm.
Like, what do you think that means? Because that's not the way he died, but it's the way Jonas sees him in these like visions or whatever they may be. He sees him covered in black oil or paint. I don't know, blood. I don't know what it may signify, but I never really could pinpoint like what that may mean.
I think it is alluding to things that happen and unfurl in future episodes. So we'll get there, but
We'll
I
say
think
okay.
yeah, I think it's a visual foreshadowing to certain elements that get involved. But yeah, it does look like blood, and I think that's intentional, but the weird realization when, like, it's going down Jonas's ear and it's black and you're like, "What the hell is that?"
Yeah.
It
It's
reminded
like
me at first of the Leviathans in Supernatural. I was like,
yeah.
"Oh."
I forgot about that. Holy shit. Yeah.
Brought you back like a
Yeah.
nom flashback.
Yeah. It took me way back. Thankfully, that show's gone done now. It needed to be done a while ago. Now they I don't know, what, 2022, 2021, I think they finally finished it.
One day I'll finish it, maybe. I honestly don't remember where I left off, but one day when I've gone through every other thing on Netflix. I'll
Yeah.
revisit.
Any other things that like come to mind watching this episode that pulls in your interest?
The relationship that Katarina, is that her name?
Mhm. That's how they pronounce it. I think we would like probably with the TH, Katharina, maybe like that. But
Katarina.
they Katarina, yeah.
I feel like she knows about Hannah. 'Cause in the first episode, she, like, finds the hair, and mentally, I'm like, "Yeah, but you also have, like, brunettes in your family." As someone who sheds everywhere, would it be weird if my friend's family had, like, just a bright orange hair on their garments? No. No one would be like, "You're having an affair with Carrot Top." They would be like, "Oh, Frankie's shedding."
Yeah.
But she smelled the sweatshirt, she picked up the hair, and then in this episode, she was already in Mikkel's room when Ulrich shows up, and they're just kind of there pensively in his space, sitting there together as a couple, going through this hard time, and she's like, "You would never lie to me." And I feel like in that moment, she was both talking about, like, "You wouldn't lie to me about elements of the case or Mikkel's disappearance that you don't want me to know."
Mhm.
So it's like, you're gonna tell me the truth about that, but then also just, like, in general, don't lie to me. I feel like she knows. Do you think she knows?
I don't think she knows exactly that it's Hannah. But yeah, definitely like, all right, you're not doing something
He's
correct.
stepping out?
You live with somebody long enough and you hang out and spend enough time with them, you start to learn something's off or something's different usually. And maybe she didn't catch it until Mikhail disappeared because everything had seemed normal, because everything kind of changes for them in their family dynamic when as soon as he disappears. So everything's kind of coming apart, or maybe not in part, but things are just becoming uncovered, easier to see. And yeah, I think she wants him to kind of fess up there, but of course he's not gonna really.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I'm not gonna tell him myself. I'm not,
Yeah,
I'm not,
exactly.
I'm not,
Like, I'm not
I'm
an
not
Eric's
Eric's
dad.
dad. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, fucking great minds. Yeah, Oric doesn't come clean. He's just so distraught trying to figure out what happened to his son. Everybody's kind of going through their waves of madness and sadness as well.
When the lights go crazy and Jonas's and Hannah's power comes back on, I don't know if that's by a fluke or what, if they paid their bill.
Maybe.
When it flickers like that, I was thinking if I were in my son's room and my son went missing and all of the lights and like that planetary mobile type thing starts spinning like crazy, I would think, "Oh my god, my son is dead and she's reaching out to me from the other side." And I would have freaked the fuck out.
Your thoughts are just going totally left field.
Oh
And
yeah, I'd be like,
yeah.
"He's a ghost. He's reaching out and we have to find him." That vibe is definitely where my mind would have gone, but shortly after we see,
Mm.
he's alive.
Yeah, in what time? 86, right?
What a time.
He goes to his home, but notices like the vehicles aren't the same. Tries to go into his own house. His key won't fucking work. What pops out is his dad, but young dad.
As, like, a junior in
Yeah,
high
in high
school.
school. Totally bullies him. And then in a weird way, his mom, old young mom, comes and like, hey, like, all right, we need to go.
Time for school. Did you notice that Katarina hit Ulrich in the same way Magnus hit Miko?
Oh shit. No, I
Like,
didn't.
right upside the head. That bugged the fuck out of me the first episode when Magnus kept every time he entered the room before he left, he'd hit Miko, and then
Mhm.
he's just like, "Where's my sweatshirt? You have my sweatshirt." "No, but seriously, you definitely have my sweatshirt. Stop doing magic tricks." And I was like, "Stop hitting this kid."
It's in the genetics.
I guess. Or Magnus suffered that at the hands of Katarina or saw it, like, her do that to Ulrich, but yeah, she swatted his head the same way Magnus did to Miko, and I immediately thought, I was like, "Damn, Ulrich never fucking left that house. That's crazy."
No, I mean that's pretty normal, don't you think?
Maybe over there, over yonder.
You don't think in America?
I don't know, I've moved not a lot, like, not compared to people like my dad. My dad moved 12 times before 12th grade, and he wasn't a part of a military family, really. Like,
Mm.
his dad was in the military, but also he was living with his mom. They moved around that frequently, and I feel like I've moved around somewhat, not to the degree of my dad or military families, but I don't know, I've lived in, like, 3 houses with my family, like, my immediate family, and then I've lived in, like, 3 houses by myself now, and so
Yeah.
I'm just like, "Damn, Ulrich, you just set down roots, you were born there, raised there, grow there, die there." That's crazy.
Yeah, it might be just a strong European thing too. Probably makes sense.
It's a nice house, so no shade there.
I don't know. He looks like he's living the American dream, you know?
But in Germany.
But in Germany, in Deutschland. 'Cause it seems like Oric can get very aggressive. His son, Magnus, is a pretty aggressive guy. He gets upset, in this episode at Francesca for some reason, right?
I think he was just, like, curious why she was present.
But he has to shove her up against a tree?
That was fully unnecessary. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, "Get your hands off her."
Like, Jesus Christ.
Could have just asked a question. But, I mean, I know he's emotional. His brother is gone. He has no one to hit.
Going through puberty.
He
Yep.
still hasn't found his black hoodie. Like,
No.
it's so much is going on. The fact that young Ulrich is so well cast, that shit, like, I was like, "Yeah, of course he grows up to be that guy." Like,
That
that
guy.
just it makes sense.
I also like, Katarina's younger cast too. They all look alike. It's really weird. They did an expert job of just finding people who had maybe the same shaped face. I don't know. Do you think maybe they just like did some computer work on stuff like that?
Maybe. I haven't looked into, like, the production on this outside of sound design, so maybe.
I want to say no, but I mean, that'd be crazy if it was so far along at that time because what I've learned recently is that there's this new game coming out, right? I don't know, made by a small team or even one guy, but he he or she, I'm not sure, or they the game is supposed to be like super photorealistic. And when I was watching like few clippets of video of the game, it looks really, yeah, it's almost hard to kind of distinguish whether it is a game or real life. It's just like some type of first person shooter, but
I was gonna
um,
ask if it was a shooter one because 'cause I've seen clips recently of,
yeah,
what the game I think you're talking about, and I was like,
really.
"There's no reason that needs to be that realistic."
Yeah, it's so strange. And the way, okay, so one big part of it to kind of keep the realism of how it looks is by blurring people's faces because I guess the human eye is able to distinguish better than environments is like your a person's face. If like something's done to it, you can kind of tell easily or easier that it's false or fake rather than like environments. So I guess the environments are just much more easier to make look real rather than a human face.
That makes sense, like, in the terms of uncanny valley type stuff.
Yeah, so maybe that's maybe where now they just probably really cast these people really well because if so, maybe we would be able to, you know,
I was gonna
figure
say,
something out.
you've seen Twilight, right? How or maybe
Uh
Image of the Baby?
oh, I okay, I've seen it be made fun of. Yeah, that's really bad. That's really
Okay,
bad.
yeah,
That's
so it's like
so horrible.
I mean, we are further along in technology, so hopefully an absolute disaster like that won't happen again, but I still feel like, yeah, if they went in there digitally like that, we'd be able to tell. I feel like the most realistic one I've seen recently was they animated a Jack Torrance character, like, in Doctor Sleep for, Ewan McGregor to talk to, and then
Uh-huh.
they did they did that in the latest Scream. They, like, made I feel like he was there, but they digitally made him younger to look like how he looked in the first Scream, and it has been
Mhm.
how many years? 20 something? It's been a
Been a
long
while.
time,
Yeah.
and it wasn't super convincing. So if they were to do that with them now, I feel like we'd be able to tell.
Also too is The Irishman, where they like really de-aged De Niro and
I haven't seen it. Was it believable?
no, I haven't seen it, but it's like notoriously made fun of too, because how they're so old now and they look nothing like that anymore.
Just have a crazy smooth filter on.
Yeah, and it's like so obvious. So I really want to watch. Like I said, like I really want to watch that movie, but it's 3 hours long. Like I don't know if I wanna put that time into watching it.
That's a commitment of a day.
Not I don't know about a day, but shit.
Well, no,
Oh,
you gotta, like, mentally prep. You gotta make sure you've eaten. You gotta
yeah, okay, in that sense, yeah. Okay,
gotta
maybe
set aside the
may
chunk of time. At least that's how I do it. Because if I'm not starting my day with it, I have to make sure things around my day frame it just right. Because otherwise, I'm not paying attention.
yeah, in that sense, yeah, maybe it is a day's worth of movie viewership or preparedness to it, right? But, I mean, they also got motion cap, but I don't know, even then, you still know it's fake because in video games, they do facial motion caps now, and they look really good, but it's not where at that level where it's like a movie. There was that one movie studio that did a bunch of, motion capped animated movies like, Polar Express,
Oh god.
you know what I'm talking about, yeah?
I know exactly what they look like as
Okay.
someone that has seen Polar Express more times than anyone should have ever seen that movie.
For real?
I can't put an exact number, but I would say we're like I probably have seen it 10 times, and that's a
Mm.
lot. For a Christmas movie and a Christmas that Christmas movie, they look crazy. Also, that one kid in the glasses, I wanna hit him so hard.
I love that voice actor. Is it Mandark's voice, from Dexter's Laboratory? Did you ever watch
Yeah,
that? Yeah,
yes. He's like, "Santa Claus!" Like, fuck off, dude.
what'd you think about Tronte? I think that's how you say his name, Oric's dad.
I definitely thought was part of the cabal, and I was like, "That's crazy." This guy, Charlotte's husband, and potentially Eric's dad, as well as Alexander. And I was like, "So all the dads and grandfathers, like patriarchs of households, are just in this ring." You know, if it wasn't the earthly phenomenon of people being terrible and, like, potential sex trafficking or whatever, I was like, "Oh my god, what if they're doing, like, that weird, creepy small town sacrificial bullshit, like, where
Oh
they're
my god, that'd be
sacrificing to the uranium gods for the
for
nuclear
power.
plant." Yeah, they're not
Uh,
it's not a nuclear power plant, they're just burning bodies for heat,
oh my
like
god. That's a creative, like, B-movie, like, idea. That'd be cool to see, actually. I would like that.
'cause I remember, this short story that we studied in English class when I was a freshman, and it was called The Lottery, where obviously we think of the lottery, we think, "Oh, cool, money. We love that. Everyone wants to win the lottery." But in
Mhm.
this small town, if you won the lottery, you had a piece of paper, and if it had a black dot on it, you won. And then that means you had to go up on stage, and everybody stoned you to death, and then they
Jesus.
used you as fertilizer for their crop. And so I was like, are they doing some weird small town shit like that? Because I know this is an itty bitty place. I had these 2 things going on, and I was really worried because this guy has, like, a body count to him if that's the case, because he had his son and then now his grandson, and I was like, "Why do you gotta
Mm.
keep it in the family like that? If you gotta kill a child, well, don't." But
Maybe in the past, they designated his family to be the chosen ones to, whatever. They're cursed.
and he was all acting all shifty with the sweater
Mhm.
and putting that in there, and
Well, it had blood, right? Yeah,
yeah,
so
on the cuffs, so it's like
he kinda got lucky with that one because his, wife barely comes in as soon as he puts the sweater inside the washing machine, but it's like, obviously, she didn't see it, but she just knows he's, like, up to no good.
he was acting shifty because yeah, she's like, "Where were you?" And he's like, I was don't worry." But yeah, what was your initial reaction, if you can remember way back when, to the Mikkel thing, his time travel? I say that so casually, like, yeah, the Mikkel thing, when he
The make
traveled
it the
through
make
time.
In retrospect, I was like, "Cool, he's alive," like, there's a chance that
Mhm.
he might be able to get back to, his family and whatnot. Despite everything that's happened, he seems healthy enough to kinda get back to where he's going. He does a really good job of keeping his cool. I would have freaked out if it was me. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, no, and then, like, the fact that he meets people that are not too far away from his age, just, like, by a couple years, that have the same name as and mannerisms as his parents, I would lose it. I'd be like that scene in SpongeBob where Patrick like, holding the ice cream, and he's like, "Who are you people?"
A
But, like,
just reaction for the whole situation. And being a kid, you know what? Is he like 9 or 10?
I think he's 11, and then
11?
they speculate that the boy found in the woods with his eyes burned is around that same age. I think they said 10 to 12. I think the assumption is that Eric is now also dead to the same fate because we see him get strapped in.
Yeah. Oh, well, he's 100% dead because we see he's the only redhead kid that we've seen so far.
Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah, he's being dragged out. So I'm like, all right, that's Eric. So whoever gets strapped to this chair does not meet a good fate, right? That's perfectly clear.
I'm hoping whoever's conducting these lethal experiments is putting other variables in place and not just doing the same thing and frying these kids' faces off.
He's like, well, that didn't work. Let me
Maybe
try
they were too
something else.
small.
Yeah, we need an older one. I would hope so too, because I mean, it seems kind of pointless, right? Mikkel has to try to figure out how to get back. I mean, he comes out of the cave. So I thought, well, the only way maybe to get back is probably going through that cave and wherever he went, do that again. As a kid, I probably would still try to look for answers within that town, or I don't know. What'd you think?
Because we see 2 entities cloaked and, like, in their faces obscured, and they're wearing this dark coat type thing, it's like, is the mystery man that went to stay at the hotel, is he the guy strapping people in? Like, we don't know who that guy is yet,
Mm,
and then we see the mystery man that emerged from the cave who's staying at the hotel, his little Charlie Day collage on the wall going on. You see all of it. He's reading a book about time travel. He has that clipping of the newspaper that says, "Where is Mikkel?" But he changes it to "when," and then he opens the briefcase to what we can presume is a time machine. And so we see it correlate. We know this mystery man knows that Mikkel is lost in the fabric somewhere, and it makes me think, like, did he cause this? Did he do that? And so it's like, how is he messing with time, and can he get him back? Like, is he gonna have to go get him and put him back where he should be?
yeah, he could look like the hero, but also it looks pretty tough, kind of considering that because one, maybe he could be the guy to set things straight, but then why would he be in the time zone after everything's been said and done, right? Mikhail's lost, right? So
Mhm.
he's obviously in the wrong time zone if he's like trying to do that.
Oh,
So
if
that's
he's
kind of
the perpetrator?
no, no, like say if he was trying to like make things correct, right, and like save Mikhail, he's in the wrong timeline to do it.
Yeah, but what if he's just behind? He's, like, hot on the trail. He's following Mikhail, but he arrives just a little late, and he's like, "Fuck, this kid's gone."
Just like that. But couldn't he just instead of buying a room, laying down like a fort, basically, couldn't he just like go up and ask, like, "Hey, is there any?" I mean, that would be a weird way to say, it, but in the same way, ask if anybody's missing in the town, and then like, "Oh yeah, we just, there's this kid named Mikhail. He just missed.
You just missed him.
You just missed him." Then he could be like, "Fuck," and then like, I don't know, figure out whatever he was doing if he is a time traveler, right?
Yeah, but you know that's gonna draw suspicion because everybody knows everybody, and then this guy who most of the time, most of his screen time, he's been filthy, he's been dirty in the shadow of his hood, and he's like, "Hey, you got any missing boys?" Like,
That or like maybe yeah, I guess that makes sense too. But then he also has that newspaper. Wait, okay, that threw me off too. Because it says where is Mikau, right? But I think I saw in that newspaper clipping it said the year was 1950 something. That felt weird to me because I was like thinking, is that the existence of the newspaper's year or whatever? Or is it the time of the print, I
hmm.
don't fucking know.
You said I'm looking at a picture of it right meow. Where did you see the number?
I I think it was somewhere above the photo of him of Mikau.
Oh, okay, so I think my German is not that good. I feel like this means established,
Okay.
like, maybe that's when the newspaper was founded.
Mm.
Wow, let me try to pronounce that. Überparteilicht.
Oberpatelig.
Una Bank Set,
So
1952. Yeah, I feel I will look that up. We'll get conclusive.
Or go back to that thought was when Mikhail's looking at the newspaper and it says the date above the photo of Chernobyl. It says like something, something, whatever month it is, and then 1986. So I'm okay. So I'm thinking maybe the print. I don't know. Would it be the print or would it be the year? So then, to say if Mikhail's lost, then it's just the day of the newspaper telling the date, right? Why would it be 52 rather than 2019 when he goes missing? You know,
You raise an excellent point.
maybe that's just an error in continuity. I don't fucking know though.
Now you got me deep diving. The one that says Wo ist Mikkel is that date underneath, like the day that it was published is June 11th, 2019. Is this the same newspaper? Because we don't see what newspaper this is. It's just the clipping. Unless one of the words that I horribly pronounced was the name of the newspaper.
Ah, maybe, huh? This is the lost in translation for us. We're just like we don't know because we don't speak the language.
Yeah, I'm like, they could be giving the most belligerent foreshadowing, and I'm just like, "Wo ist Mikkel?" It's just
Right? I don't know. Maybe it's a small thing, maybe it's not. But yeah, that really threw me for a loop. The mystery man, the stranger. First initial thoughts, do you think he's a good guy or a bad guy?
mm,
Finger down, like, yeah, he's this.
I would say he's good because he gives me Strider vibes from Lord of the Rings. Like Aragorn was a good guy, but it's the good that's just kind of laying in wait in the shadow because he doesn't want to draw attention. So he gives me that kind of vibe. He's just a
Okay.
little dirtier. Not to get like pretentious or be that guy, but when it comes to elements of like time or medias that deal with time, I feel like the characters around them, the moral compass is really ambiguous. I feel like it's all like everybody is a free agent. If they're able to bend and travel through time, they have their own morals, but nothing is really objective other than the consequences of what they do.
Right.
Like that nothing's tangible until they do it. They're all acting in what they think is the best interest of everybody, but what someone thinks is good for me might not be what I want. And so it's all, that kind of like relative thing.
Yeah, which is hard to say because it's all based on ideology, right? What do you think is right or wrong? Yeah, that is true. Well, obviously, like I think for us, right, or hopefully, like I guess most of civilization, like all right, young boy killing is not so good, right? So
If there's one thing we can put our foot down on, we
yeah,
here at I Know What You Watched Last Summer, we are both of us actively against boy killing.
100%.
So
Don't do it.
bold, I
Well,
know. Call us
mhm.
woke, but we are in fact against the murder of children.
We get banned.
The woke
So,
media at it
woke
again.
media. He seems knowledgeable. He's got the newspaper clippings. He's definitely had a rough past. His back is all like fucked up to say the least. He's got the scar tissues, like lines, like he's been tortured. He's got a handgun. Where he comes from is not a nice place at all.
Like
Maybe he
Texas.
comes I was gonna say Afghanistan, but yeah, there we go. I like yours better. The dangerous West. Uh,
Just packing. Got that
mhm.
got that glizzy.
And it's probably better to say that he's not from the past because any time from the past, the way he's looking, or he probably wouldn't have any of these items and damage to his body, right? So, all right, probably it's good to clear what I thought. He's probably from the future, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, and so then from everything, the future probably is not that great.
It's looking
N-
bleak.
No, maybe he's here to maybe solve a mystery, but maybe he's also here just to take a vacation. Um,
Yeah. Oh
you
my
know,
god, imagine. So, like, us as beings in the present, because we only ever have the present. That's why it's a gift. Or whatever that Kung Fu Panda quote is. But imagine the future being so brutal that we come back to the past, AKA our present, and we're like,
mm,
God, it's gonna take a load off.
I could see that, dude. If we ever found out, like, yeah, I mean, especially Americans too. We love nostalgia, so like, yeah, let me go back to a time, like, let me go visit, or from afar visit someone, you know.
If you could go back to a time and place of your choosing, where would you go?
Not because I had anything to do with it or was there. I was too young, but I would have loved to have gone to a Daft Punk concert.
That's
2007. Yeah, that would have been great.
your time travel's only gonna take you to 2007?
They don't they okay, Daft Punk, they're done. They don't make music anymore. Come on, they're great. I don't know, I love them. What are you? What are you gonna do?
I wanna go to the 1400s where
Oh
North
my god.
Carolina is, and I would go live with my tribe. Free white man.
But don't you think that would be bad? That would have its own paradox. Okay, so maybe this is not a good thing because you would have immunities or you might not have immunities to old world stuff, right?
If anything, what if I'm the harbinger of disease? Oh my god. That's
Yeah, see,
another B movie. Right?
mine's a little bit safer, except the only thing I'd be bringing back is maybe coronavirus.
Oh, fuck. And knowledge of, I don't know, cultural references.
Hey, yeah, yeah. I'm just going up to somebody like,
You're
"Yeah,
like,
have you seen that?"
2016 is gonna be bad for politics.
Yeah,
Just
really?
saying.
Just saying. You care to elaborate?
No.
Oh, no.
You're not ready for it. Let The Simpsons handle that.
Yeah. They'll catch you up on everything you need to know.
Alright, well, if I'm not, if I'm able to not be a harbinger of disease, that's where I'd wanna go. If anything else, if I'm gonna do a concert, I'm thinking ABBA.
ABBA?
I feel
Fuck
like
yeah.
ABBA would be real fun.
That'd be
Or
cool.
Motley Crue. I've seen Motley Crue, but let
Me
me
too.
tell you,
Were you there?
what year was it, like 2011?
I wanna say 2014.
Oh, you know what? Maybe.
That'd be crazy if we had, not to go too far into it, but yeah, we would have met. We're in the same place, don't know each other, but could have ran into each other. Yeah,
That'd be so
crazy.
crazy.
2 years later, we meet. That's fucking insane.
Chaos Agents of Time. Well, I'm excited for what will unfold and see what happens. I
Yes,
love time travel, or the concept of it.
I do too. But it just keeps us like wondering because paradox is right, but then also you going back in time, does that lead to a reason why something happens. So it was always meant to happen. I don't know. It kind of dwells in with destiny, or is it free will? Because if it's free will, then that could be explained by maybe like different, I don't know, universes. Because once you do something, you're just creating another timeline that splits it into different things. Things where you did something, and then one universe that you didn't do that, or whatever it may be. Or is it the reasoning you're in this like loop? So like I don't know. It's a really interesting concept, and I feel as funny as it's kind of like a pun, right? Because it's the struggle thing with time,
Mhm.
but it's almost like pondering it is timeless because we really won't ever know.
Full disclosure, I one time ate 7 grams of mushrooms,
Oh
and
shit.
for everyone that doesn't know, that's a fuck ton. Don't recommend, don't do it, and if you're a cop, that was a joke.
Allegedly.
Allegedly,
Allegedly.
I did that,
If you
and
had
if I had, I
like
happened
OJ Simpson when he,
if I
he
did
broke.
it.
Yeah.
If
Fucking
I did it. Or,
sh
like, did you ever hear obviously, the source I got it was pirated, he didn't get any plays, views, credit, money, anything, but R. Kelly released the song version of "If I Did It" with his sexual crimes. Fuck
no.
that guy.
Me and my sister joke about it where, he's being interviewed. I think it was with, the first couple, like, interviews about the situation many years ago, right? When it was kinda, like, becoming, more visible, and he's being interviewed by a guy, and he's, like, asking him if he likes, to date or be with, teenagers, and then he's, like R. Kelly stops, he thinks a second, and just, like, turns and then, like, asks him, "Define teenage," and I'm like, "We
There's a
Right, and
numerical value.
the interviewer, like, literally does this, like, he in confusion, like, "What?" Like, "What the fuck you talking about, dude?" But yeah, me me and my sister are being dumb, and we're like, to a question or something, like, "Define teenage," like, to be to be convoluted, you know what I mean? That's just fucking whack. Same thing with the OJ, if I did it.
If I did it. If I did eat all of these mushrooms, I did in fact see how time lines up. I saw that it's cyclical and it looks like a slinky and it all just lays on top of each other. I have a journal entry from when
That happened?
it's so crazy. It's my writing goes in a spiral and it says, "I figured it out. They won't believe me, but I've seen it." And I thought I made this incredible discovery and I was like, "I need to document my findings. I can't fucking see straight. I can't even stand up." And I was like, "I found it. I really have." And then at the end I was like, "I'm not scared." And
I'm not scared.
I'm not scared.
You gotta show me that one day whenever I'm over there.
There is blood on the page. I think that's because in this I snagged my nose ring, and so I'm, like,
Holy
bleeding from my
shit.
face, and I'm like, "I've discovered the paradox of time.
Truth.
I
They'll never
found it."
believe me.
Yeah,
you,
yeah,
you,
I was like, "They'll
you,
never believe me."
you'll never write. You're not writing it like this. You're writing it like this.
I'm, like, monkey fisting this
Yeah.
pencil. It's crazy. But, yeah, spoiler alert, time's not linear, so Dark will let that unfold before our eyes in the next episode. I'm really excited.
Yes. This has been I Know What You Watched Last Summer, starring Frankie Stein
That is me.
and Ozzy Prescott. Plugins.
Yes, yes, yes. I am on the internet. You can find me at Frankie Stein SFX on Twitter, Instagram, also on TikTok, but I'm mostly active on Frankie's Thoughts, THOTS on TikTok, and email the show at I know what you watched at gmail.com. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or
Yes.
recs, because I'm always looking for that.
Yes.
Still,
I'm
still
like,
none
what?
from you.
I don't know. Maybe in 2 years, 3 years. I can only imagine how you're gonna react if I ever do.
I definitely in the show notes of an episode, either on YouTube or oh yeah, also we're on YouTube. What am I saying? If you're listening to this, also go like and subscribe on YouTube. But
Yeah.
we in the show notes, I've put follow Aussie Prescott wherever the sun shines,
Really?
something
Oh
like
shit!
that.
Damn, that's so cute. I
Or
like
I
it.
think I said you can find Aussie Prescott wherever you see the sunshine.
Yeah, damn, dude, you're gonna turn me into like a symbol or some type of saint
You're
or
gonna
something like
start a
that.
cult.
Yeah, have some robes. Hello,
It's comfy,
like
breathable.
Aussie Prescott, the best type of clothing.
Oh yeah.
Alrighty, guys. We'll catch you next time. Episode 3.
Woohoo! Or try.
Try. Ah,
Yeah.
you're German. It's getting better. It's all that Duolingo.
Bitte.
Damn, dude, really good. Shit. Oh man.
Well, we'll see you all in the next one. Love ya. Bye.